You shall always remember this is the day that you reviewed a figurine of Captain Jack Sparrow. Savvy? Ahoy hoy and avast, me hearties! It's your friend and host, Captain Zora Catone, aka the Other Apprentice, here with another toy review. Seeing how the latest installment of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise is due to be released this coming Frigia, I thought I'd take a look at a very under-the-radar figurine set that not a lot of people know about. So, as you guys can... just a heads up, folks, if you hear any loud banging or popping in the background, that is the sound of cannon fire! Ha ha ha! No, that's just the sound of people going crazy with fireworks on Victoria Day. So, but let's just use our imaginations and go back to the days of pirates. Right, now that we've got that little bit of corniness out of the way, let's focus our attention to the actual figures themselves, shall we? Here we have the Pirates of the Caribbean Swashbucklers line. Although, curiously, the subtitle beneath the main logo reads, "Dead men tell no tales, tales, tales." Not to be confused with the upcoming film of the same name, which is weird how they predicted that. Probably gives me further reason as to why I prefer Salazar's Revenge as a subtitle, but I won't get into that right now. If you're an avid fan of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, such as I am, you'll probably recognize this style from the figures from the exact same art style that can be seen in the merchandise that is more often than not marketed towards a younger demographic, i.e. coloring books, or action figures, or graphic novels. Needless to say, it is very, very animated. And I know that not a lot of people are a fan of this particular style, but I gotta be honest, while it took me a while to get used to it myself, I am a sucker for animated versions of live-action properties. So, as you can imagine, when I found out that these existed, I just simply had to get them, and I did. Now, this isn't the full set, unfortunately. I've had these for quite a while. I bought these off of Amazon, but considering how old and really how obscure these are, I'm rather proud of my findings. Now, why these figures exist, you're probably not wondering. Well, I'll tell you anyway. You see, once upon a time, Disney was actually considering making an animated TV series called Swashbucklers. So they had Zizzle, one of their trusted pirates action figure makers, craft these lovely fellows. Although if my sources are to be believed, I guess Disney just didn't have enough faith in the project, and the series was shelved almost immediately. Regardless of this, Zizzle decided to sell these toys anyway on a rather experimental basis. Needless to say, you can probably imagine that selling toys based off of a cancelled property isn't exactly the best way to sell to public interest. But I, for one, am very glad that they were sold anyway, and these are fantastic additions to my collection. Which I find it's kind of funny the way that works. Not a lot of people know this, but the original Pirates of the Caribbean was rumored to be an animated film as well. So it's kind of funny how both those approaches were exchanged for the live-action series that we all know and love today. So, enough of my babble and backstory, let's get to the actual figures. First to start off our collection is Captain Jack Sparrow himself. Now, this is one of two variants of this figure. Like I said, I didn't get the whole thing, but I was sure to get this version, seeing how we usually see him in his vest and such anyway. He's got a lovely hair sculpt here, which is very nicely detailed. Unfortunately, due to that, his head, which is on a ball joint, can't really turn very well, which is kind of unfortunate. His movability all relies on ball joints as well. His bandana and the bit of cloth hanging off of his belt here is made out of a endurable rubber, which I'm very glad has survived these many long years. He comes with a cutlass, as well as a triple launch cannon. And what you do is, pardon me, all you gotta do is just stand him up right there, press the button right here, and fire at will! But not actually at will, because Will's over there. Overall, the resemblance to Johnny himself is okay. No better than how they capture him in the animated style, which, again, I really like. So, the paint jobs are okay. I don't really know what this splotch is, but when it comes to putting his sword in his hand, though, I do have to be a little bit careful because his hands are sculpted in this formation, and I don't really want to scrape anything or break any fingers because, like I said, these figures are old, so I gotta be careful when it comes to playtime. But there he is, holding his cutlass. Do you think that wise, boy? Crossing blades with a pirate? But there we go. There is Captain Jack. And speaking of our next edition, Will, who for some reason does not want to stand up. Jack stands up very well on his own, by the way. Next up is Will Turner, a spitting image of Bootstrap Bill, or apparently. I actually really like the intense expressions that they've given everyone here. Will's is very focused, very determined. Camera, focus please. You'll see that his expression is very focused. His head is also on a ball joint, and thankfully, seeing how he's got this long, wavy ponytail here, that does allow for a little bit more movement as far as his head is concerned. Again, all these figures have ball joints on their arms and something similar on their legs. His accessories include a very loose-fitting sword, which does not stay in very well, I am sorry to say. And oh well, there you go. He's he's surprisingly standing. Will comes with a flintlock, which is sort of made out of this rubbery material, and this this extending grapple, which kind of retracts when you push the button here. It's nice, although the other variant of Will is admittedly a little bit cooler, but he comes with this really overblown jacket, which I don't really like, so coming around to that, we have Elizabeth Swann, the pirate king, queen, king, herself. Now, I do have a few qualms with this figure, I'm not going to lie. While she is very pretty, I do wish that they had taken the time to paint her lips pink or red or something of the like. I just think it would round out the expression that they gave her just a little bit more. Her hair is very hard, and it's a lovely detailed sculpt, but again, it prevents any kind of proper movement, and that doesn't really help. That the belt here kind of gets in the way of that as well. But the ball joints on her arm work very well. Her legs are kind of limited to this loose hanging bit of her vest here. The thing with Will is that his vest was made of rubber, so his legs could move to and fro and willy-nilly and willy-nilly. But that is not the case here with Elizabeth, which is a little disappointing, but so long as it doesn't hinder her stance like that, then I guess that's okay. Her sword here is very shiny and the biggest out of all of them, and it fits into her hand very well. Pop it in just like that, and I don't have to worry about breaking anything, at least not right at this moment. So that looks very cool. Elizabeth's accessories are a flintlock rifle, which is half rubber and half hard plastic, and this fiery crossbow, which I keep dropping things today, which press the little button here and poof. If I'm perfectly honest, I don't really bother with the accessories, just the swords and the figures, because as nice as the other editions are, they're kind of gimmicky, if I'm perfectly honest. Next up, we have Captain Hector Barbossa, and this was actually the form that I had seen least before fully familiarizing myself with the art style that they went with. So you can see that a lot of his features are exaggerated. His nose is really big, and his hair is very scraggly, and the feather here is actually that's actually rather nice. It's made out of rubber, as is most of his coat here, which is very good. Allows for a wide range of leg movement. I can have him doing the splits, but I don't want to. Again, arm on a ball joint, and his head is probably the one that has the best movability out of all of them here. His sword is very gnarled, and it fits into his grimy hands. Well, I'm one to talk about grimy hands. With a little bit of difficulty because his nails are rather long and sharp. But if you're not worried about scraping any paint, which is kind of lacking anyway, then it fits into his hand like that. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't go for a little bit more of a color range on him, but I do like the muted bluish gray on his jacket. That does look very cool. It just looks a little plain right next to the yellow on his belt there. Barbossa's accessories include Jack. Oof, I hate that monkey. He's even more annoying in miniature. And this exploding barrel with some kind of insignia that I can't seem to make out very well. Press the button here and kapow! Yep. And so then there's a bit of a flame job there, kind of. It's a little bit too glossy for my taste, but like I said, I don't really bother with the accessories, more or less just the figures themselves. But Barbossa is very good at standing on his own. Jack, on the other hand, well, he's a monkey. He's annoying. Next up, we have Sal Fang, who is one of my favorite characters in the third movie. Here you can see that his features are also very everyone's really exaggerated here. And I don't know if you can see, but on the box art there, they came pretty close to replicating the style here. Although, if I do have one complaint, I know that they were trying to give the back of his robes a bit of a wind-blown look, so when you set them down like that, it kind of looks like, oh, the wind is blowing, and but I gotta be honest, it doesn't really work that well. Other than that, the figure looks pretty cool. He's got the tattoo on his head there, don't know how well you can see that, and his facial hair is half hard mold and half, I don't want to say rubbery, but it's a lot more flexible, but I'm not going to play with that. His hands, nice detail with the bony hands, and on his gauntlets they've got the Chinese letters all over his robes, and the bits of jewels on his belt here and on his on the mantle. Coming down here to more of his robes, his pants and his feet. They really took a lot of detail into the hands and such with these figures, which I really like. His sword, sadly, is rather loose-fitting, as is Will, so his dao just kind of flops, kind of like that. But his accessories, and now these are the ones that I actually do play around with because these actually look kind of cool, is a double-headed dragon cannon. And I actually, seeing how I am actually Chinese, I do like the detail that they put into the sculpts of the cannons themselves. Got some really nice details on the scales and just on the overall motif on the wheels and on the quote-unquote wood and everything. That to me is very Chinese. You just, I can't remember, where's the, oh, there it is. The button, just push it here and whammo! Again, they don't fire very far depending on how high you have them aimed, but I think that's a really cool detail. That's definitely something I like to display in my room full of Chinese decorations. Yes, I have a room full of Chinese decorations. Finally, last but not least, is Davy Jones, aka the character I sympathize most out of the entire series. Now, Jones here is a bit of a different story because I got him secondhand out of the box with none of his accessories, so his sword is missing, which I guess is okay because you wouldn't be able to really put it in his hand anyway. And I think he also came with a cannon, so, I mean, no big loss. I'm just happy to have the actual figure, which looks really great, by the way. The attention to detail that they did in his tentacles, on his face, on the barnacles, I don't know how well you can see that, but there we go. The details on his face, on his hat, and everything here, on his claws and everything. I think Jones here is probably the most detailed out of everyone, and rightly so. His coat is made out of a very durable rubber. I like the paint job that they went for on this whole figure, not just on the clothes, but also on his hat and everything. I do think that they could have taken it just a little bit farther, but given what we have right now, I think it looks okay. Jones does stand up pretty well on his own. Sometimes he may have to rely on the cape. Sometimes you can have him just standing as is with just his natural leg and his crab claw leg. But the cape and the cane are very good to have just in case. I do like that they had his finger wrap around the cane. I have that on the Mega Bloks version as well. So it's nice that both Zizzle and Mega Bloks had the same idea, and it's kind of weird that his claw here is limited by his jacket, or excuse me, by his coat. But I actually don't mind, so long as we can get his arms up there. It's not like I'm gonna be having him go raga laga 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 laga. So that's fine. I really hate to say this, but I think he looks kind of cute this way. So, don't tell him I said that. But that concludes our current collection. I know that out there are deluxe versions of Captain Jack as well as Will. There's another version of Jack that rides the Kraken, and there's even a Magus figurine. You know, the hammerhead shark crewman from the Flying Dutchman. I know that this series was cancelled, and this own toy line didn't really have a lot of room to expand nor grow, but had Disney gone ahead with the series and Zizzle had been able to make more of these, I would have really liked to see figurines of Mr. Gibbs, or Pintel and Rigetti, Marnie, or Cotton and his parrot, Tia Dalma, or even Cutler Beckett, or hey, maybe even some of the other pirate lords. I mean, I really do think that there was a missed opportunity with these, but maybe that's just coming from a guy who, like I said, loves cartoony versions of live-action properties. In my final thoughts, I know that not a lot of people were fans of this particular style, but I think that it's the highlight of this entire line, and it really pulls it off quite nicely. Yeah, some of the paint jobs could have been better on certain figures, and a lot of the articulation is limited because of certain hair sculpts. But other than that, I'd say that what these lack in playability, they more than make up for in fun and looking awesome on your shelf. So I'd say that if you weren't able to get your hands on any of the Gentle Giant maquettes, definitely splurge and try and get your hands on a few of these. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. I would probably give these figures 3.5 stars out of 5 each, which I'd say is probably pretty fair. Maybe 3 stars in Will's case, seeing how he doesn't really like to stand up very well. I mean, look at that. Just, no wonder you died. But, that is really mean, I'm sorry. But overall, I'd highly recommend them to any Pirates fan who has any money to burn. I know if I had any money to burn, I would definitely try to complete the collection. But there you go, guys. That is my review. I hope that you learned something new today, and I hope that you liked these figures as much as I do. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And as always, keep a weather eye on the horizon for more sights, sounds, and surprises from yours truly. And if you've got a video review in mind that you'd like to see me do, let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can do. But as always, folks, until the next video, I am Zora Catone, aka The Other Apprentice, and I'll be seeing you real soon. Farewell,